Hi there, my name is Carlos. I also go by Achilles. As for your question, for a time that I demonstrated leadership skills would be at my previous job at Shadow Rock Dentistry. And I also believe that I demonstrated modeling the way and challenging the process. Um, at my previous job, it was a mom and pop shop dentistry. It was a really small office, not a lot of people. And I don't believe they had a lot of professional training. But one day we had a gentleman come in. He got some dental work done, and my manager just started basically just mauling this gentleman with words, just absolutely just disrespecting him. But what had happened is that he had came in for a crown and also got a cavity filling. And afterwards, just because you added another thing to your bill, of course the price is going to be different. Well, I believe he was short about 250 with his insurance. And for some reason my boss was just absolutely mauling this poor man and just being rude out of nowhere, yelling at him. It was literally a yelling contest in this office. It was mind-boggling to see. You would never think you'd see this in real life. It was weird, just absolutely out of nowhere. But anyways, after this poor gentleman you could tell he was flustered. He kept getting cut off every single time he was trying to answer the question. So I decided to butt in and I took over the conversation. I cut off my manager and I decided to start speaking to him how he should be spoken to. It's like, oh, come over here, let me help you out, let me see what I could do for you. I wanted to hear I wanted to empathize with him. I wanted to let him know that I was on his side, that I was not here to do the same that my manager had done to him. So I let him vent. I wanted him to, I was like, okay, are you okay? So sorry about that. I just wanted to let you know that, yeah, we have, a balance here left over after your insurance. We're still short 250. We quoted you for the correct amount, but then we also got a filling today. And so I don't want to, add any pressure, but what if I took your fee and put it on your next appointment? And he's like, oh, I would love that. That would help me so much, just because, we've really been struggling. And luckily I was, close enough with the owner of the store that I was able to completely waive that and help his day out a little bit. Hi there, I'm Carlos. I just want to, answer your question about the time that I demonstrated leadership skills. In this case, I believe that I demonstrated model the way and challenge the process. At my previous job, I had worked for a mom and pop dentistry. It was called Shadow Rock Dentistry. Pretty small space. Obviously, they didn't have a lot of professional training with customer service. But one day, we had a gentleman come in, and he had gotten some tooth work done, and unfortunately, his insurance didn't cover the entire cost. More often than not, your insurance will cover it. But sometimes when you add in a couple things, like this gentleman, I believe he got a cavity filled on top of getting a crown that day. And so, it added just just a few $100s more than what he had previously thought that we were going to charge him. And my boss, for some reason, my manager at the time, when the gentleman finished up getting his dental work and he came to, check in with us before he left, she started chewing him out for not having the full amount for some reason, which is just blew my mind. I never knew that someone would handle a situation like that, or treat someone in such a poor manner. But I ended up cutting off my manager and started taking over the conversation and starting de-escalating the situation because she was just screaming at him and he was yelling back and nothing was getting handled properly. I should never have gone that way, but somehow, some way, that day it was the day. So I started calming the gentleman down and asking him how he felt, or what he felt that should have been right. Like, oh, okay, what were you expecting for the price to be? When was the last time you spoke to your insurance? How much did you think this was going to cost? Because we did give him a quote prior, but obviously, maybe he just, didn't calculate the numbers out fully. So, I let him speak his mind, let him tell me how he felt. And then, he told me, like, well, I don't think I should be having to pay that, especially with such, poor treatment and the fact that no one notified me that I was going to be charged this much. And I was like, okay, yeah, I completely understand that. No one would ever want to be going through the situation that you're going through. No one deserves that situation. So I de-escalated the situation. But then I also asked him, what can I do to help out and, to help you out? Would it help you if I waived the fee for the day and I just added it to your account so then next time, your next visit when you come in, that additional $250 will be on that balance, not today's. And, I said, okay, well, I like that, but this, 250 is a kind of a lot, we're struggling right now. And I told him, I completely understand. And then I just suggested him, I think it's a good idea for you to speak to your insurance, make sure everything's cleared up there. I'll see what I can do about waiving that for you. Because even though my manager was my boss, they weren't the owner of the mom and pop shop, and the mom and pop actually do come into the office, or used to come into the office every day. So I spoke to them once they got in and I let them know that, hey, this situation happened and I wanted to know, if we're able to waive this fee for him just because he had a horrible experience. There was a lot of bickering, a lot of yelling, and a lot of just disrespect for this poor gentleman. And luckily, we were able to get that waived for him and get him on his way without him having to pay any extra fees. And I don't know if it made his day at all, but I just hope that I was able to make him feel better because he was getting belittled, and definitely it was a very offensive conversation. I'm glad that I stepped in. I'm glad that I took the reins and I changed the situation because no one should ever be treated less than a person. Hi, I'm Achilles. I also go by Carlos. As for your question about a time that I demonstrated leadership skills, the first thing that comes to mind would be my previous job. Before I started pursuing this and going back to school, I had worked for Shadow Rock Dentistry, which is a small mom and pop dentistry here in town, and they actually they weren't the most professional. I do understand that it was a mom and pop shop, so they probably hadn't had someone who had like professional on field experience with customer service experience. But one day we had a gentleman come in, and just to give you a little bit of context, we do check, their insurance and to see how much they cover. And occasionally, even though we may check with the insurance, it could come off wrong. They could give us a wrong number, or even the procedure might end up being a little bit more expensive than what we initially stated. In this case, unfortunately for the gentleman, we needed about $300 more than we had previously quoted him for. And when my boss told him after he had gotten his dental work, he's like, oh yeah, well you still owe, like, I believe it was like $250. For some odd reason, my boss decided to start chewing this man out, and I'm not 100% sure why. My only guess to why you would even do that to someone is maybe you just don't have the customer service training, and I don't think she did. But the gentleman, you could tell he was obviously frustrated. He was really just worked up. He was explaining the fact that, hey, my insurance should be covering this. I don't understand why, you're coming at me like this. And even if so, why are you speaking to me in such a harsh and absolutely disrespectful way? So I decided to take over the conversation. I decided to kind of butt in. Maybe a little rude, but I needed to help this gentleman out. So I butted in. I just asked him a couple questions like, oh, okay, have you spoke to your insurance? When was the last time that you made sure, the amount that they had left over for you? We understand that we did quote you for this much, but then you also got a filling on top of your crown, which obviously adds a little bit of cash. And, and he's like, oh, well, I haven't talked to him in a little bit. But, I don't think that this is the way that things should be handled. And, I let him vent to me. And I just let him take that, and let him know that I felt for him. I empathized with him. So I let him know that I completely understand. I could only imagine what I would feel like in your position, And so after we did that, I calmed the situation down and, kind of stabilized things for a little bit, because it was a little hectic for a little bit. Just to show my peers and my manager at the time that we can handle things in a lot more professional way. You don't have to speak to someone or belittle them in any rude manner. So I decided to take the lead on this one. So I let them know, I was like, okay, well, here's what we can do today. We can call your insurance, see what they are able to do, see if they're able to, help you out with this one payment. If not, what if we put this on your account? So when you come in next time, there'll be the additional $250 fee on top of whatever you get done. But then at least today, we just call it quits. You get to go home with the dental work that you got, because no one should be having to go through any craziness at work. That's absolutely unacceptable. It's just insane. Tell me about a time you demonstrated leadership skills. Tell me about a time you demonstrated leadership skills. Model the way and join the process. Hi there, I'm Achilles. I also go by Carlos. It's my first name, but I've always gone by my middle name. For this, no, let me go by that. Oh, let me go grab a blazer. I'm gonna grab a blazer right now. Rule of thirds, okay.